Go.
Hi, thank you for joining today. My name is Mark Price. I'm from Alchemy Collective, and today we have Keith and Kyla. And I wanted to start a conversation today about the nature of healing and how that plays into meditation or just healing in general. Keith and Kyla are from the Intuity Healing Academy, and they've been practicing for over 30 years. And first, I guess the best place to start is my own personal journey and how I came to this. I was a practicing meditator for about 7 years before I became a teacher. After about 11 years, I started to become aware of different modalities for healing. And that kind of led me to the work of Keith and Kyla. And before, I think I had sort of had an awareness of healing on the physiology level, the body, the manifest body. And what interested me was healing on a much more subtle energetic level. And the best analogy that I can really describe it is the difference between power and force. I think we can rub two sticks together and you can use a lot of force and make a fire, or you can split an atom and make a thermonuclear bomb. And that's the kind of profound shifts that I was noticing once I started doing this energetic work. You know, doing energetic healing on that level, on that very subtle level, created some profound shifts in my life. And I'm interested to just sort of have a discussion today and get more insight into the work that you guys do. So first of all, thank you guys for joining today. I'm very excited to have this conversation. So how would you describe the work that you guys do?
I would say that it is a very profound, dynamic, and simple healing method. It's very empowered because the person that's on the journey is invited into their own experience, into their own body, into their own sensations, into their own feelings. So they have a tangible experience of what they're actually holding in their body, holding in their energetic fields, and just aware of the emotions that they have sort of been suppressing or not aware of, that have been sort of crystallized in their energy. So it's an invitation, an empowered invitation into those places to discover why and where this energy has been stored. So we would address it in several different ways, but probably some of the ways that you've experienced, Mark, is through what we would call emotional tracing, where the person is sort of taken into that experience where this trauma or energetic imbalance occurred, and then we walk them into that part of themselves and have that part being fully seen, fully heard, and fully self-expressed. And also the many layers, or the how could I say, the many parts of that person who's encountered those imbalances throughout the rest of their life. So finding the root of the imbalance and transforming that, and then allowing the transformation to occur through all the subtle energy bodies, or subtle parts of oneself throughout the years to present day. So,
That's an interesting point that you bring up, and probably the thing that was most fascinating to me about this kind of work, about how we're so used to the physical body, but we forget about the different layers of the energetic body. From a yoga perspective or Vedic perspective, you can look at it through the lens of the Maya koshas, the different layers of the body. And something that was fascinating to me that I had no idea was a possibility is how, when people experience trauma, how there are different aspects of the soul or the spirit or the energetic body that can splinter off. And so even if you do healing on a psychological level, even if you do healing on on a physical level, there's also the opportunity for healing on a spiritual or energetic level.
I would say that most people often come to energetic healing or having healing in this way from a point where in the present day they have repeating patterns or emotional imbalances or triggers that keep coming up, and there's sort of a pattern. and they're trying to break through the pattern. And
Mm.
through the healing experience, it's like, from that rooted place of where the original trauma has set in, it creates like a sense of a different, what we call movements in someone's energy, where in the present day, something happens to them, like just a normal situation in everyday life. But what happens is someone gets triggered in that environment and taken into sort of a pattern or belief systems or emotion as a trigger to the experience. And then they find themselves like, every time I'm in this situation, I have this reoccurring issue or set of situations happening. And with doing the deep healing and the deep work on even the subtle levels and layers of the emotional triggers and the movements, it starts to clear the energy and also bring you deeper into the root area to remove it all. So then that removes the root and the subtle triggers that people find themselves being caught up in.
Mm.
So
Yes, that's fantastic. I'm sure you guys have seen a number of transformations in the work that you've done with people. What's the one thing that you think gets in the way of people sort of approaching this kind of work? Or what would you say to people who are skeptical about doing energetic work? Not that we'd have to convince anyone to do anything, but what would be the invitation for a shift in awareness about what's possible?
Well, first of all, I'd invite people to consider that this work can be very simple. Energetic opportunities out there in the world of different experiences, and Kyla and I have been on a journey through lots of them in our many years within this work, and we've arrived at a place where it is actually so simple. Like, we're not centered in ourselves, we're not embodied in who we really are, because of all these different woundings and experiences that have happened into our life up to this point. And so, whereas Kyla's talking about movements, like we describe a movement like, if you can't be in your heart and your center, expressing yourself, it's because you've moved into some pre-existing pattern of emotion, thoughts, beliefs, etc. Now, most people, they don't have the problem that they're moving out of their heart into this. Most people have the problem that they live in a world of movement. And they either have no understanding of what it is to be in center, or if they do, it's momentarily in here and then out again. So, and everyone lives in their own way of seeing the world. Like, we think we see the world the same as each other, but the reality is we don't. We see it through our own filters, and one single situation can be interpreted by a group of people in such different ways. So if someone's considering this work, what I would say to them is, like, do you want to live a life fully expressed power, knowing yourself and creating who you are in the world moment by moment? Because that's what we're about in Intuity. Like, we invite people to look at their life, and is their life full of joy and excitement, and like, wow, I've created the dream job, I'm in a relationship where I'm fully expressed, I'm living my life to the fullest? Or are there gaps in that, like, oh God, I've got to go to work, it's Monday, or like, I daren't say that to my partner because they're going to shout at me, etc. Like, so most people that are considering this work will have these gaps, these things that life isn't fulfilling in some way, and the most natural thing is resistance. The reason that people will feel resistance is because they actually are feeling they're going to have a breakthrough on the other side of it.
That's a brilliant observation, and I could not agree more. I've seen that in teaching students of my own as well. I know that resistance can be an epic force for some people because just like you just mentioned, there's something about them that knows that there's going to be some profound change on a very foundational level. And I think, you know, there are aspects of the intellect or the mind that may resist that because it knows that something's about to shift. I love one of the words that you just mentioned is empowerment, and I'd love to throw in another word of embodiment, which is a word that you, both of you guys sort of introduced me to. It's one thing, something I've noticed for myself and along this journey is it's one thing to do the work, but it's another thing to actually embody the work. And, you know, I sort of look at it as a form of awareness training, you know, being able to recognize when you're out of heart or when you're off center, and being able to have the awareness of that shift that can bring you back to that. And to me, the process has been through the work, a natural byproduct of starting to become more and more and more aware of that, which is a beautiful thing. And I think the thing that happens when you do is that there's a natural process of embodiment. It's not like a, you know, instruction manual where you have to follow a set of instructions. It's a practice, just like any other practice. And one that gets stronger and stronger and stronger and more rewarding when you are able to recognize that and become aware of that. So one other question that I'm curious about you guys, because I see that you're doing some pretty exciting things, including the empowerment and embodiment training, otherwise known as Journey into Heart, but also the low-cost clinics that you guys have set up where you're based in Brighton. And one of the things I'm curious about is what is your overall intent? Like if you guys could, you know, dream big about what both of you are creating and the footprint that you're leaving in a community of healers, what is your overall vision for that? What does that look like to you guys?
Well, for me, my journey started out working with pregnant women. And I'm sharing this because this journey was primarily about shifting the consciousness of the world, awakening people to themselves fully, to be able to be empowered around their choices in life and choose, you know, a better future for their children. And being a sensitive child growing up as well, I just felt for the children coming in, you know, on sort of this new wave of energy and needing parents that are awake in order to help sort of nurture and nourish the beings, the natural, expressive, pure, you know, light and love that they are, to be able to fully see them. And so I thought I would reach them the most if I was working with women that were pregnant, to transform their experience of pregnancy, of birth, and to transform the family. So that would be with the partner included. And I saw the importance of the partner, the male partner, and I just thought, oh my gosh, actually it's about the man as well. And it's not only about the man, it's about the parents on a preconception level. So impacting people, you know, as early as possible in their life, so that when they do come to conceive, their energy and their vibration is vibrating at a higher frequency. So when they conceive, they're already allowing a higher level vibration being into their space, which will ultimately transform the family and ultimately then transform the community and the world. So for me, why I do the work that I do is to transform the consciousness of the world, not in the way that I see it, but in the way that is a pure expression from each unique being, so that they are so connected to themselves, they can feel the truth and they can connect with their hearts, and they can live a life where they're fully self-expressed, and also through that full self-expression bringing their unique gifts to the world, because only they can bring those gifts. And I don't know what they are. I just want to create a foundation that they're so free that they're unlimited and fully self-expressed, so that they can bring them without any restraint.
That's beautiful. I would say we're very much, we're very similar in our whys for what we do. It's fantastic to hear that. Yeah.
For me, what is at the core of it is having everyone choose to be empowered, or at least have the choice to be empowered in their life. And if you look at the way the world runs right now, like medicine, like we're trained, we go to a doctor, the doctor assesses us, he gives us what he thinks is in our best interest, which often is pharmaceutical medication, and we take that medication, and then for years later we're still on that medication. For me, there's a lack of empowerment within the whole way it's set up. And if people have access to the heart, then they can really choose. Okay, so I still go to the advice of the doctor because he's trained and he's got the knowledge, and he offers me this. Do I choose that? Or is there another alternative that I choose? And if we had a world full of people living through their heart and also empowered to make the choices that are right for them, not their mothers or their partners, but them, living their dream moment by moment, what would the world look like if all of us were being our fullest expression? And that's what drives me to do this work.
That'd be a pretty fantastic world. That's very exciting. So I can't thank you guys enough, not only for the work that you do, but for having this conversation. My intent to have this conversation was to help illuminate different alternatives for healing for people. So hopefully this will be of service to people who might have an interest in that. So thank you guys for the work that you do. I'm so excited by all the work that you do, and I'm excited that more people can possibly become aware of this. So thank you guys for joining today.
Thank you so much, Mark. It's been lovely to connect with you today.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah.
Likewise.
We really appreciate you and everything that you bring to the world, and us, and illuminating what's possible for people. That's beautiful, and we thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.